All right, everyone, welcome. We are going to talk about Google Gems and how Google Gems are out here about to take your job and all kinds of fun stuff like that. So I'm kind of being a little bit facetious. Uh, AI will never come and take your job per se. AI is going to take care of certain tasks that you do. And what Google Gems are and how you can use them to not only do a better job, but to also protect your income, protect your career. That's what we are going to get into today. So, this is the title. Google Gemini Gems are coming for your job and what you can do to protect yourself. So, first thing, let's get into a little bit of background. The key concerns that GEMS addresses or the GEMS address. These are important because every technology that is out there and in use, there's some kind of a pain or some kind of an issue that they try to address. So it's always good to get an idea for what are the things that this technology is trying to take care of on our behalf. So the first thing that you need to understand is that a Google Gem is a is an agent, a personal agent that you can use for yourself. What it addresses is four main things. One is burnout. So you know that we have a ton of information that is thrown at us, and depending on how we use that, it's going to define how well we do in our jobs and in our organizations. For example, let's say you have a 50-page PDF. If I, with my reading speed and level of comprehension, meaning how much of this stuff that I read can I actually remember, a 50-page document would take me a couple of hours at least to go through, and then I'd probably have to go through it a few times to make sure that I understand what it is. And then if I'm looking for one specific thing, then I have to be able to figure out where to go in that document, what kind of specification or spec is going to help, and it can take a long, long time. AI could go through that same document, remember everything, and get you this answer in a matter of seconds. So if it takes me a couple of hours to read this, and then a couple more hours to understand and remember and then sort through and find an answer, that's an awful lot of time. And if you have many, 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 many of these documents, then it does cause fatigue, and it is a way that people do burn out. The second thing that GEMS address is context switching. When you go from one task to another, what happens is that you were focused on this thing here. Your head is in it, everything is set, you're making progress, and then someone says, hey, can you do something else? Now you have to leave this, go to something else, get your head back into it, get focused, start making progress there. And if you have a third thing, then you switch again. And studies have shown that every time you do this switch, you lose maybe 20% of your productivity. So it's a huge deal. With the gems, you can reduce that. quite significantly. Operational drag. You go into a meeting, and we're going to use this example actually when we do a real gem. You go into a meeting, and during the meeting, you have to take notes. Even if you use AI to do the notes, you still have to, after the meeting, compile the action items, get things into an email, send it to everybody, and um, basically have something that you can follow up on over time to make sure that whatever you decided in that meeting gets followed through. So that's the operational drag. It is not really value added work. This is operational work that you have to do as part of that meeting. Same thing with writing email drafts, same thing with trying to schedule meetings when you've got 20 people that need to show up, on and on and on. There's all kinds of operational drag that goes on in everyone's work. Human error. Uh, there's a lot of talk right now about employee disengagement. People are just not into the work that they're doing. And it shows up as someone will come in, do the bare minimum so they don't get fired, but they don't give it their all. Or the results that they bring are just mediocre, or they are often sick, or they're just listless, no energy at work. So those types of things are happening a lot. And when you get that, or when you have a lot of work that is just dull and dreary and boring, or there's too much detail, or there's too much stress, or you're exhausted, all of these things lead to human error. And every time there's human error, there's a whole effort to correct the problem that that human error caused. So let's say if you are a programmer, you come in, you do your thing, you submit code that is not working 100%, then you're going to have to go through the testing, discover the error, figure out where the problem is, and then go back and do it all again to fix the problem because you were tired. So every minute you spend on robotic tasks is a minute that you are not spending as a leader, as a mentor, or as an innovator. These things are the human things that everyone really has to contribute. This is the value that being human gives us. But the more you spend on these other things up above, the more time you're going to have, or the less time you will have to spend on the truly valuable human contribution. The second big point here is that these tasks are not just work. They are barriers to your high value human contribution. Man, say that 5 times. Okay. So these are stopping you from being your best and contributing your best. Okay. So what Google has come up with is their solution to those 4 issues is they call it a Google Gemini gem. So Google has an AI called Gemini. It's a competitor to ChatGPT and Claude and a dozen others. But in the Google universe, when we are looking for a digital assistant, you're looking at a gem. And it's highly specialized for a specific process. And we'll get into that in a second. So while a standard chatbot, and you've seen these all over the place, If you go into a website and they have, like even here, Ask AI Assistant, well, this is a chatbot that that in this case Adobe has put together to do specific things. Okay, so a standard chatbot is just a utility, but a gem is a massive strategic output. It's an extension of your own logic that never forgets the rules or the information you give it. And then by fusing your own private specialized knowledge, after all, you've been in your job for a while, you've been in your industry for a while, you know things about that. And if you were to take that and create this specialized agent, then you end up with, call it a mini me, a mini you, where the AI knows your business, they knows what you do. And then instead of you having to do this, the Google Gem or the Gemini Gem is going to do it for you, freeing up your time. Okay. So this is not just a technology. This is a way to free up your time so that you can offer real value to your organization, to your employer. Now, the impact on you is that by delegating low value work to a number of gems, so just remember, if you go 1 gem, 2 gem, 3 gem, 4 gem, create a whole set of them for different tasks that you do, you're going to move from being the person on the keyboard doing stuff to somebody who manages a bunch of gems, and then you're reviewing what the gems put out, you are quality controlling, you're pulling not the information, but the impacts of that information. And by doing this, you become more valuable in your organization. I hope that makes sense. So, given that, and I apologize, there's nobody here in front of me to go back and forth, so I'm just going to run through this. If you need to, go back and rewind and re-listen, re-watch whatever is going on. But I wanted to at least get this out so you can use it. So now we get into creating your own gem. And the way that we do this is we look at, there are 5 different sections, if you will. So when you create a gem, what you need to do is first of all, give it a name. Okay. The second thing is role what you're doing. And we're going to do this obviously because it's a Gemini gem. We'll be doing this with Google Gemini. You're going to say to Gemini, you are this type of a person, or act as if you are this type of a person. And you're going to give it a personality. What we will do in our example shortly is we are going to say, okay, let's just keep it basic and treat you like this type of a person. What I do normally is I say, here is who you are. This is the kind of tone that I'm looking for. This is the kind of language that I'm looking for. I expect that my audience is going to be maybe a high school diploma type of an audience. So don't give me too technical. Don't get too technical in terms of the language that you use and things like that. So you can get into a great amount of detail with the role. The more specific you get in terms of defining the role, the better and more targeted your results are going to be. So if I had to offer a suggestion, I would suggest that the role is something you should spend quite a bit of time on, because that is going to define what you end up getting at the end. The context is the next big thing. If you just go uh, into Gemini and say, summarize this report for me, it will do whatever it can. It'll summarize it. But if you tell it that the reason that I need this summarized is that this is going to go to the senior vice president of operations, and they have 800 people that work for them, and they need to take time out of their day to address this type of a thing. And so the summary that we put out needs to achieve these objectives. Well, now Gemini has more context. And what it will do is it will pull from all over the place and get you the information that you need for this uh, gem that you're producing. The other thing about this, and this is kind of off track, but the more specific you are about the context, you can actually put that in as an input into your next gem that you create, so you don't have to redo this every single time. So just a tip, if you will. The next one is the output requirement. So the output requirement is, what format do you want it in? Do you want it a Word? Do you want it Excel? Do you want a PowerPoint? Or if you don't want to be that specific, and a lot of times Gemini will say, I'm sorry, I can't produce a PowerPoint document for you. You can just say, okay, I'm looking for a presentation, and it will give you the information that you need. And then you can take that and make your own PowerPoint. Or you can give it to another AI that will do it for you. But in any case, you want to give it the format. You want to tell it about the headers, about how long, about naming conventions, all those things, so that what you get is going to be something that is in line with what you with the standards that you have. So output requirements, a great thing to spend a bit of time on. And I know when we talked about the role, I said you can put the tone in there as well. That's this part down here. This is the tone. I have it separate, and I probably should have put tone up here next to role, but I put it at the end because of how important it is. The end result, whatever it gives you, if it is useful, if it connects with whoever is going to get the results, it's going to be perceived as much more valuable. So get these 5 things into a single prompt, and that will give you a nice gem that you can use. So, and I'll show you this in Gemini. So this is how you would create a gem. The first step is you're going to go and click on gems here. The next thing is you're going to type in the prompt over here. The third thing is you let it run and then you hit the start to do this whole exercise, to run this gem. Okay, so that's how the gem is created. So 3 relatively simple steps. And let us go into Google Gemini. So here I am at Gemini at the home page. Like it said in step 1 here, click on gems. So I click on gems. Okay. Now I could, I've deleted a whole bunch of my personal gems because I wanted to keep this clean. But when you get into the gems, you're going to see this blue button called New Gem. So you click on the New Gem, and now you are over here at step 2. So in order to do our example, I'm going to go down one more. And what you're going to see here is the prompt. So you got your name, role, context, output, and tone. So copy the whole thing, copy, and paste it in here. Use my, okay, that's pretty disgusting. Okay, undo that. Put 50. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so what we do is we copy this into here, and I'm going to go back here for a second and show you. So you got the name of this gem is, I'm going to make this bigger so you can see this. Okay, the name of this gem is Meeting, Momentum, and Follow-up. So the context is we're going to provide a transcript of a professional meeting. The job of the gem is to extract the facts and draft the follow-up email immediately. Okay, the role, the gem is going to act as a highly efficient executive administrator and project coordinator. The goal is to turn raw meeting transcripts into organized, actionable follow-up communications. The output requirements are over here. It needs an executive summary, an action table, approvals or decisions, a human check, and a follow-up email. Okay, the human check is an analysis of the meeting's emotional landscape, identify any potential team friction, unspoken concerns, or areas where the team seemed hesitant or unaligned based on the tone and the language used. Why am I going through this particular one in so much depth? The reason is that a year ago, this was not something that could be reliably done. Now, at the beginning of 2026, this is something that we can actually ask Gemini to pay attention to is listen to the emotional cues that team members are expressing and use those to color or to identify areas where it may not seem like uh, things are 100% aligned. Okay. So this is a new thing. I would not have put this in a year ago. But what this does is it opens up the potential for you to include emotional cues into whatever it is that you are uh, looking at. So in our case, these are meeting notes. So we care about that. Okay. So I'm going to go back to here. So we have pasted in here, and I'm coming here and just hit this and just watch how long it takes to create this thing. So it's creating a high-level plan. Okay, and I'm doing this on purpose. I want you to get a feel for how long it would take to do this whole thing. All right. So I didn't time it, but that felt like less than a minute. Now you've got this gem created. The way that you go next is the third step is just click the start button. So I'm going to click the start button and, and it says paste the raw meeting transcript here. So what I did was I went to, I think it was Chat GPT or it was Perplexity. But I basically went in there and I said, can you create meeting notes for a fictitious meeting, a fictional meeting? So the meeting has never happened. In this fictitious health insurance company, I did not give it the name. And I said the meeting was 90 minutes. It had 5 people. I did not name the people. And the topic was addressing a major risk, which was privacy or cybersecurity in an application that was using AI, a large language model like ChatGPT or Gemini. So that was the information that I gave it. And it came up with this these meeting minutes. So you've got these 5 people here, got the purpose of the meeting, got the risk overview, got the discussion highlights here, and then you've got the options discussed. Okay, pros and cons, option 2, pros and cons, and then should be an option 3, pros and cons. And then there's a decision, the action items that were coming out of the meeting. So first action item, and then the second action item, and a third action item, and then finally the closing notes. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, copy, and bring it back to here and type these up. Now, of course, if you have real meetings notes, then those would go here. And then again, pay attention to how much time it takes to do this. 30 seconds so far. And if you pay attention here on the left side, what we've got is the meeting transcript. You're extracting the details, generating the follow-up email, and then rendering it as a HTML. You can go in and take a look at this and edit any of these, and that will have an impact on the results that you see here. Now, what came up with this? Okay, so you've got the email. So you could copy and paste this. Basically, you could download the file and then send this as an email to all the meeting people who attended the meeting, the people who were invited to the meeting, people who care about what's going on there. And it's got your executive summary. It's got your action table, so who needs to do what and when, what approvals or decisions are needed, the human check, which is what we talked about. And notice it says the overall tone of the meeting was professional, serious, and highly proactive. Right? And it gives an assessment of what the tone of the meeting was. And thank you for your valuable contributions. Best regards, the name of the team lead. So again, download the file, send it off as an email. So basically, it took a minute or so to generate this gem. It took less than a minute to generate the output from a particular meeting. And you could have asked this if this was tied into your email system. You could have asked it to send the email directly to all of the people that you wanted it sent to. Personally, I wouldn't do that. I would want to get my eyes on it, review it, edit it before sending it, because AI still hallucinates, meaning it makes things up or it has errors. But still, you want that in there so that you become the reviewer of what AI is doing rather than just someone that AI is replacing. So, like I said in the beginning, okay, so you can, sorry, yes, so like we said in the beginning, you can go, there we go, okay. Instead of being the person that does the low value work, you move from a manual operator to a manager. So this whole thing that we just did with the meeting notes, I know if I had to do this myself, it would have taken at least an hour to get the email right, to get all the details and put it into the right format in a way that makes sense, and all of this stuff. And, the action table. This is something that I would have had to check and cross-reference a few times. But now this has done it for me in less than a minute after I copied and pasted the meeting notes. So this type of thing essentially has saved me about 45 minutes to an hour. And what I can do is confidently say, yes, I have reviewed this. This email is now coming from me, going out to all you people. And I don't have to say the AI generated it, because the AI is just an extension of me. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. what you're trying to do is get yourself into a position where you are managing a number of agents. You've got a bunch of mini me's running around doing different things, and you are pulling it all together, doing the quality assurance, making sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and you're the manager taking responsibility for the work or the value that is being delivered. All right. So this is that's how you create a gem for yourself. Okay. So this was the one that we did. And what I will do, of course, is you'll have access to this PDF. You can use it as you will, but you'll have access to all of this information. Now, let's talk a little bit more about how gems are going to protect your career. Remember, the title of this was Gems Are Coming for Your Job. So what can you do to protect yourself? Well, the protecting yourself is this next section here. The first thing is, if you want to protect yourself against something, then you need to know what is the threat. Okay, so you need something like this. You need a threat assessment done, which tells you what categories of work are most at risk. Are they the technical and hard skills? Are they the process and workflow management skills? Are they the communication skills? What areas are most at risk? And what you'll see here is the threat level of high. You'll see a lot of technical and hard skills. Same thing with the mediums, a lot of technical and hard skills. So if your job is a lot of technical work, a lot of administrative work, a lot of clerical work, a lot of work that can be automated with a good AI automation system, then you need to pay attention. All right. So take a look at the types, the categories of work. The next thing you want is which tasks are at risk. So specifically, which of these tasks that you do are at risk. Now, the example that you're looking at right now, this is this was, again, another fictitious person that I came up with. And this time, I believe, yeah, it was ChatGPT. I said, I need a fake resume of somebody that has a bunch of years of experience as a full stack developer, software developer. And let me see if I can pull that up. It would be interesting. Sample resume. Okay, so the funny thing here is that it gave me this name, Daniel Mercer, and gave me this information here. The email is fake. The LinkedIn is not fake, but it goes to a different Daniel Mercer that I have no idea who this person is. I did contact him to let him know that ChatGPT is using his name in vain. But in any case, so I've got this 4-page resume of this programmer. He's a full stack software engineer, 5 years of experience. Here's the technologies that he uses. Here's the technical skills. Okay. So if I was looking for somebody to do this kind of work, this is a pretty good resume. Okay. So what I did was I took this resume, I took a job description, and as we'll talk about in a few minutes, um, I have a course which, in a very organized way, shows you how to get to a proper threat assessment like you're seeing here. So the next thing that you're looking at, so you got the category, the next thing you're looking at is what are the tasks, and then which technologies, which AI technologies are the ones that are putting your job at risk. What is the threat level? What is the timeline? Now, these two columns together are going to give you a really good picture of how much at risk is your job or parts of your job from AI, and then the reasoning behind that. So in this first case, implementing responsive user interfaces with React, the reasoning is that an LLM AI can already generate functional front-end components with minimal effort. Now this it's cut off a little bit, but it's all there in the spreadsheet. So once you have this kind of a threat assessment, you now have a pretty good idea of which skills or which tasks you really need to focus on if you want to protect your job. The next thing that you need to do is become very specific about here we go, about developing a roadmap for what you need to do. So here, what I've done is I've gone from here. Oh, come on. The first one is implementing responsive user interfaces with React, and that's this one here. So for that particular task, which AI tools or agentic workflows will be able to do 80% or more of that job today? So you've got these four technologies that will be able to do at least 80% of that task today, or within the next 2 to 3 years, you're looking at these two things. So you've got a total of 6 different technologies that you can pay attention to. Now, remember, I'm going to go back up. This task that this person does is at high risk of being replaced by AI, and AI can do that today. So if the technology already exists and you want to get ahead of that technology so that you don't get kicked out because of AI, what you want to do is proactively bring these technologies in and demonstrate that you are actively looking at how to improve your position, or how to improve the value that you're providing by implementing this technology or these technologies. And what that will do is it will change your job. So instead of handwriting repetitive JSX and manually wiring common UI patterns and iterating on layout and responsiveness, What you do instead is define intent for UX, review generated components, own design system consistency and architectural decisions. So you now become the UI system owner, not just the typist. Okay, now what will this do for you in terms of time savings? You get your time dividend. Today you're going to spend this much, or you expect to spend this much every week. With AI, you'll only spend this much, so you save 3 to 5 hours a week doing this. Let me back up. You're going to do the same type of thing with this one here. So the next high one, and the same thing with this one, and the same thing with this one. And then what I would personally do is go through all of these medium ones and do exactly the same assessment. What are the technologies that I need to get, that I need to learn? How can I implement them and shift my role proactively before my company starts to think about laying me off? And documenting or estimating how much time I can save. And I will tell you, in my position as a safe and agile coach, so I'm an IT coach, I did this analysis on my own job, and it turns out that almost half of what I do can already be done by AI today. So, how can I justify my role as an IT coach if half of what I do can be done by AI a whole lot cheaper and a whole lot better than me as a person? And the way that I would do that is right here. Identify the tasks or the technologies that I need for each task. Get good at one of these, implement it, change my role, and document how much time I save. And over time, what you're going to find is that you will end up with a bunch of time on your hands that you did not have before. And then the question is going to be, what else can you do? So when you start thinking about what else you can do, now you become someone who is actively thinking about the betterment of your organization, and you become somebody who they want to keep around because you're thinking about the good of your company or your organization or your nonprofit, wherever you work. But you're thinking about what's best for your organization, and you are taking active steps to implement it. So my course actually goes into all of this stuff in a lot more detail. So we already talked about this. Part one is doing the threat assessment, which gives you a clear picture of how AI looks at your job, gives you the ratings, gives you the table, which we just saw, and gives you an overall view of your job that provides data-driven career security insights that are specific to your job, your industry, your organization. The next part is the opportunities. So what do you need to learn? What are you going to, um, uh, how will your job change so that you improve the quality, speed, and impact of what you do? And then, of course, how do you increase output without increasing your hours or budget? So basically, your organization gets more value for the money that they spend than they would have before. Normally, this course is $250. If you were to go to your company and say, hey, I want to take that course, I'm going to charge you $250. But if, because you're here listening or watching this video, I am going to give you a 90% off, 90% discount coupon with uh, one string attached, which is a gentleman's promise, a handshake that says, if you use this, can you please email me an honest review of the course? That's all I ask. Give me an honest review. I'm looking for a bunch of reviews that I can use in future marketing, and just also to get a feel for how are you actually really honestly thinking about the stuff that you're going to see. So use this 90 off coupon and get yourself the discount. Do this threat assessment and this opportunities assessment for yourself and tell me about it, please. Okay. So to conclude, Google Gemini gems can try to take your job. So understanding what we just did, everything that we went through, I think you have a pretty good idea now that says that, okay, I can use a gem. I have an idea of how to create one. I know what the structure is. Now really it's just up to you in your position, your organization. How are you going to put this into practice? But gems can try to take your job, but if you understand them, gems can become an extremely useful tool. And with that, here's a little bit about me. I have been in technology transformation projects at least since the mid 1990s. And technology transformation basically translates to I was responsible in large part for getting technology projects implemented. So getting them developed, getting them tested, having them accepted and used by the end users. So I've been doing that for at least the last 30 years. And this is what I do. The reason I have been successful in whatever I have done is not because I was great with the technology. I was an expert in Oracle and recognized as such, but that did not give me the success. What got me the success was people-centered leadership. I always depended on being very good with the people that I worked with and understanding people, understanding teams, understanding emotional, the emotional IQ, if you will. Basically, how do you get people to not only become comfortable around you, but also get into a frame of mind where they trust you implicitly, and you provide the structure that they need to do exceptional work. I have had more people who had average capabilities that delivered incredibly wonderful results, not because they were extraordinary people, but because we gave them the ability to express themselves and do things that they normally would not have done. There have been cases we have demonstrated and documented a 500% increase in productivity using these principles. I created the AI Proof Your Career course. There are 2 more courses coming down very soon. The AI Adoption Masterclass for Management and the Rehumanize Leadership class, which is likely going to come out towards the 3rd quarter, maybe 4th quarter of 2026. So the Rehumanize Leadership class. So that's who I am. That's pretty much the end of this session here. The company name is Rehumanize Leadership, and we are going to be doing tremendous things in 2026 and beyond. You can hit me up by email at support@pavanvarma.com. And I am looking forward to getting in touch with you. If you have any questions, definitely shoot me an email. Take the course, the AI Proof Your Career course. It will be worth it. You've got a special discount code for that. So price should not be an issue. It's just a question of, can you get into the actual course itself and do something with it. So anyone can buy a course. Very few people actually use it. And what I'm looking for is people to actually use it and become much more secure in their careers. Okay, that's it for now. We will talk to you in the next video. Take care.